Highway shutdown. Part of I-90 is closed after a tanker with a hazardous load overturns. When it may finally reopen. Patio pushback.
We kind of got thrown into it yesterday. It was too much, too fast.
Restaurants respond to scenes of jam-packed patios as the dining out debate heats up. Rounds of rain, some heavy to start the week. Meteorologist Matt Wintz on the flooding threat. And holy squirt guns, a priest's unique way to safely bless with holy water, is wowing the world.
From the WKYC studios, this is What's Next.
We begin with developing news in Lorain County. A section of I-90 in Avon is still closed in both directions tonight after a tanker truck hauling alcohol overturned. Right now, I-90 between Route 611 and 254 has been shut down since the crash around 4:30 this afternoon. The driver of the tanker was taken to the hospital. He should be okay. 4 nearby homes were evacuated as a precaution. The crew needed to offload the flammable cargo is just getting on scene. Police don't expect 90 to be back open until after midnight. Of course, we'll keep you posted on our app and WKYC.com. And more breaking news on Cleveland's east side. Police telling us a U-Haul truck hit several cars on East 116th Street and Kinsman Road earlier tonight. At least 3 people were taken to nearby hospitals with serious injuries. A section of Kinsman Road is closed while police investigate what exactly happened. Good evening. Glad you are here with us tonight. I'm Lena Lai, joining you from my home. Our other top story is the weather. Matt Wintz has the first look at the forecast. And Matt, most of the storms have come and gone, but we're not done yet.
Yeah, we're not done yet, Lena, for sure. Some decent downpours this evening. Rainfall rates over an inch an hour with some of those showers and thunderstorms rolling through, and a lot of it fell on soil that just didn't need any rainfall. We did have some flooding issues earlier, but things have pretty much dried out. You can see how most of the showers and thunderstorms have pushed out over Lake Erie. We do have some redevelopment, though, here in the last 5 or 10 minutes of some heavier downpours moving into areas of Erie County, down towards Norwalk, about to get a good downpour just down to your south and the west. These will continue to track off to the north and the east around 35 to 40 miles per hour. You can see the areas that got the heavier rain today, anywhere from about a half inch to as much of an inch and a half of rain falling just to the south and the west of the Strongsville area, right where Medina County meets up with the Cuyahoga and Lorain County line. We had a little bullseye there, but the bigger story becomes the flood watch, which exists now, and that goes through tomorrow night for the western tier of our counties, including Mansfield, Ashland, Norwalk, and Sandusky. That's going to be from another system that's moving in. It's all attached to the same thing, but that is really hinging on a line of showers and thunderstorms you see in areas of Indiana. This is a very slow-moving area of low pressure that will wobble its way in here, and the concern is that line where we've got 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour falling is going to head into northeast Ohio, and it's going to kind of sit wherever it ends up, and the thinking is that's going to be in the western fringe of the viewing area during the daytime tomorrow heading on into Tuesday, and that could put down some pretty decent rain. The bigger picture, though, we've got an area low pressure that normally would zip on by here, but everything being put on hold by Tropical Storm Arthur off the coast of North Carolina. That is putting everything off to the west, including this storm system, on hold. So this is going to be a very slow mover. It's going to be with us all week, this storm system will be. So scattered storms tonight, on and off. Many dry hours. I think we're foggy, murky, average lows in mid-July in the mid-60s. That's where we're going to be tonight. So kind of a July-like night ahead of us, but we'll talk about how much rain and what that week looks like coming up in the forecast. Lena?
All right, thanks, Matt. We'll see you again in a bit. Now to the latest coronavirus headlines. More than 130,000 auto workers head back to work tomorrow as factories reopen after 2 months. The nation's 3 biggest automakers, GM, Fiat Chrysler, and Ford, plan to resume manufacturing operations. Honda and Toyota started opening plants in the U.S. last week, while Nissan has not said yet when they might reopen. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo acted like a model patient, getting swabbed for coronavirus on live TV as he announced all New Yorkers with flu-like symptoms are now eligible for testing. The governor also scolded people for not practicing social distancing while going out Saturday night.
There's a lot more people out here than I expected. Definitely not seeing a lot of masks around.
And it looked like social distancing is pretty much a thing of the past at New Jersey's most popular beaches and boardwalks. The beach at Sea Isle City was crowded, and some beachgoers said it was pretty challenging maintaining social distancing guidelines. Ocean City's boardwalk was also jammed as people were happy to finally get out and enjoy the nice weather.
We kind of got thrown into it yesterday. It was too much, too fast.
Well, these pictures had a lot of you talking and debating, too, over packed patios at local restaurants and bars. Tonight, some restaurant owners are speaking out about the pictures, showing people who were not social distancing. My colleague Andrew Horansky joins us live to explain. Hi, Drew.
Hi, Lena. Well, good evening to you. I have found the perfect patio to social distance, my own. And, you know, as we've been talking about since Friday, the degree of social distancing really depends on where you go, the size of the crowds particularly, because, of course, the larger the crowd, the harder it is to enforce. Well, tonight we spoke to one business owner who told us he learned a lesson the hard way. Over the weekend, images such as these made the rounds, and they made the owners of some establishments reflect.
And we don't want to be ignorant, and so we understand where that's coming from.
Rick Duty owns Lindy's Lake House in the Flats. That's his patio with the blue awning, where yesterday they were bombarded with business as people packed in shoulder to shoulder.
I looked around at some of the restaurants. I looked at our restaurant, and we can do a better job. And I know others can do a better job as well.
Ironic, perhaps, for Lindy, who serves on a commission for the state that advised on reopening, believing businesses needed more guidance.
And I think we probably should have done a better job as his advisory committee on being more definitive. And we were supposed to be self-policing, and that in and of itself is difficult as well, because some people are going to do a better job than others.
And they were not the only victims of success. So was Lago East across the street. Despite sanitization efforts and removing of tables, they were hit, saying in a statement tonight, quote, "We do not believe it is necessarily our responsibility to control our guests." Going on to say, if the state provides further mandates that we must follow, we will certainly enact and follow those mandates.
We are observing all the rules back here as well.
While in Rocky River tonight, they're beginning to plan for Thursday, the day that restaurants can reopen indoors. Burntwood Tavern spacing chairs at the bar and enforcing staff hand washing every 20 minutes. Many tables gone.
We are right now less than half, and we're just trying to observe all the rules and make sure that everybody's safe, our guests as well as our employees.
Who will create a new dining experience in unprecedented times. And I do want to make a quick correction there. The video you saw where we referenced Lago East, that was not Lago East. In fact, that was a bar in Columbus. But I did, of course, speak to the owner across the way from there of Lindy's. And he tells me that this really was a dry run this weekend, Lena, a way of just kind of getting his feet wet. Of course, wishes the outcome had been different. This weekend, he says he is going to have more police. He is going to have a lot more staff. He's going to be a lot more aware of the potential for this because, of course, this is really the gateway to summer, Memorial Day weekend. And I think you can pretty much bet that the governor is going to have a lot more to say at his news conference tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it certainly got the ire of Governor DeWine for sure. Now, it is important to note that no one's been cited so far, right? And no one's been accused of doing anything wrong, at least in our area?
That's right. We've seen enforcement look different in other parts of the state. In Cincinnati and Columbus, we've repeatedly asked the city this weekend if they have done anything to implement any kind of enforcement, and they have frankly not gotten back to us at this point. Cannot say anyone who's done anything wrong, at least according to the city.
All right, we'll keep on it. Thanks so much, Drew. Well, you know, something else opening up soon in Ohio, day camps. The state health department released new rules that day camps have to follow, including very specific hand washing requirements, especially for staff helping to manage kids and meal times. Day camps will be allowed to open on May 31st. And tomorrow on Today, leaders from the American Camp Association and the YMCA will be live to explain the overall national guidelines that camps should follow when they reopen this summer. That's tomorrow morning on Today, starting at 7 a.m. right after Go, right here on 3 News. Well, the next time you grab an Uber, don't forget to put on a mask. You see, starting tomorrow, Uber is requiring all users to wear face coverings. Uber says before drivers can start accepting trips, they will be required to take a selfie with a mask on. And there are new passenger limits for Uber X and Uber XL, where riders are no longer allowed to sit in the front seat. Churches across the country are finding new ways to stay safely connected with parishioners, and one priest in Michigan may have found the most unique way. The Reverend at St. Ambrose Church near Detroit is using a squirt gun to shoot holy water. These pictures are from Easter, but they're just now spreading worldwide on social media. Drivers pull up to the church steps, and there's Father Tim Pelch wearing a face mask, gloves, and holding a neon green squirt gun. He squirts a little holy water at each car after each set of prayers. The pandemic has affected so many big plans, especially weddings, but 2 local doctors were able to have their special day. Check this out. The Cleveland Clinic physicians had their wedding on the roof of the Cleveland Clinic's main campus yesterday. The 2 actually met at the clinic, and their colleagues helped to plan the whole wedding. And we are so happy to show you this too. The 3 News family has a new addition. On Friday, anchor Sarah Shookman and husband Angelo welcomed a beautiful baby girl. We want you to meet Isla Elizabeth Scott DeFranco. She was born May 15th, weighing 8 pounds, 7 ounces, and she already knows how to smile for the camera for sure. The whole family is glad to be home from the hospital. Mom and baby are doing well. Congratulations to Sarah and Angelo. Best wishes. Coming up next, Leon Bibb shows us the similarities of the coronavirus to another disease from years ago and how the development of a new vaccine changed everything. Stay with us.
What's Next is sponsored by the Calvetta Brothers Floor Show. It's time to fall in love again with your home.
Developing tonight, Cleveland police are looking for the gunman who killed 1 man and seriously injured another in a shooting during the filming of a music video on Cleveland's east side. Police tell us the shooting happened just before midnight on Sophia Avenue in Cleveland's Buckeye Woodhill neighborhood. Police found a 26-year-old man lying in the street. He had been shot several times. He was rushed to University hospitals where he died. A 21-year-old man is at Metro Health Medical Center where he is in critical condition. Police believe both men were shot by someone else. No arrests so far. A 1-year-old boy died in a car crash in East Cleveland. The Highway Patrol tells us he was sitting in his grandmother's lap in the front passenger seat when the car went off the road at East 133rd Street and hit a tree. The toddler later died at the hospital. His grandmother was hurt too. Troopers say the 60-year-old man driving the car is expected to be charged. They suspect drugs or alcohol may be involved in this crash. Well, for the first time in 20 years, AAA is not giving their annual Memorial Day travel forecast. That's because the information AAA uses to make predictions is not available right now because of the pandemic. Well, states reopening like Ohio is expected to boost travel. It will nearly be the same as the 43 million people who left home for Memorial Day weekend last year. Tonight, we want to give a senior shout out to Taylor McCarthy. Taylor is a senior at Amherst Steel High School. There, she played tennis and was on the swim team for all 4 years. This fall, she plans to attend Ohio University. You can send us your senior shout outs on WKYC.com/senior shoutouts. You know, before coronavirus, there was another virus that was equally devastating and sometimes deadly too, and that virus was polio. And when a vaccine was finally discovered, people filled the streets cheering. It is something that we hope for with the coronavirus. Leon Bibb has seen the impact of both viruses and shows us the pandemic parallel.
This story, part of it personal, is about a vaccine of the past and still used in the present, which gives an idea about what we could face in the future for coronavirus. If you were born after the mid-1950s, you may not fully understand the enormity of the polio epidemic. But the vaccine road traveled in the past is probably similar in some ways to the road today. Polio was contagious and terrifying. It could lead to permanent paralysis, even death. In the 20th century, it spread, and within a matter of hours could render a healthy person to a life of paralysis with excruciating pain. Before his presidency, Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1921 contracted polio and never walked unaided again. In 1952, there were 58,000 new cases of polio in the United States. Many victims had to live inside what was termed iron lungs. In 1955, an effective and safe vaccine was developed by Dr. Jonas Salk. A nationwide inoculation campaign began as Salk pushed for mandatory vaccinations. He said it was a moral commitment. By the millions, children who were more susceptible to polio than adults were vaccinated, and schools played a part. It was in this Cleveland school right here that doctors lined all of us elementary school kids up to give us the polio shots. I was too young to fully understand the enormity of the polio problem, but my parents certainly understand it. I remember well the day we took the shots. But that began the eradication of polio worldwide. In the early 60s, developed was a second vaccine taken orally. It was less expensive and more effective. In 100 Cleveland locations, mainly schools, the Sabin vaccination was distributed to the public, children and adults at a very low cost, free to those who could not afford it. Today, medical science targeting coronavirus remembers the routes traveled by Salk and Sabin. Just as my parents and I were optimistic about the vaccine, which I took decades ago in this school building, I am optimistic with coronavirus, we will get a vaccine too, one day. For 3 News, I'm Leon Bibb.
Here's hoping soon. Leon, thanks so much. All right, let's send it back over to meteorologist Matt Wins, tracking all the rain that's headed our way too. Rounds of rain, you were saying, all week.
Yeah, Lena, this system is going to be a very slow mover. You know, we were looking at it last week, and it looked like we were going to hit 80 today. Remember, we called it, and we were really close to 80 area-wide. But the system looked like it was going to zip on by. But that tropical storm Arthur developed, and I'm telling you, whenever there's a tropical storm out in the Atlantic, everything waits for it because it's such a powerful system. So that's what we've got going on is this, we're stuck with this slow-moving weather pattern. So, Lena, I hope you got the lawn mowed, or Phil got the lawn mowed here over the last couple days, because we're going to be pretty soggy as we go throughout the week. So let's get you out the door tomorrow morning, or just looking out the door tomorrow morning. We're going to have a couple downpours around the area. I think it's going to be pretty murky tomorrow morning with all the moisture we have in place, likely some areas of fog developing. But look at that. We're in the 60s to start our Monday, and scattered thunderstorms, much like this afternoon, and the heating of the day should make it well into the 70s tomorrow. Another mild day. And look at temperatures right now. We're still at 74 degrees in Akron, 72 in Canton. Compare that to downtown, Ashtabula, areas near the lakeshore with that northeast wind. It's a cooler night, but it is July-like down to the south. Quite a change over where we were about a week ago. And you can see the dew points. When these numbers get up into the 60s, you can feel that humidity. Mid-60s that we have over towards Mansfield and Ashland. It is really thick outside. So that's kind of sparking some of these showers and thunderstorms we'll continue to see overnight tonight with that amount of moisture in place. You can see we've got a couple sparking out towards Erie County, Sandusky right now, getting some heavier rain. Norwalk, you've got a cell just north and west of town. Not a lot of lightning with those, pretty much just some heavier rainfall. But attention turns to overnight tonight when a flood watch goes into effect. That will go all the way through Tuesday night for our western tier of counties. And you notice that extends back towards Toledo and areas of Indiana. That's in anticipation of this cold front moving in. You can see the heavy rain that we've had through Chicago and Indiana. You'd think that would move through the viewing area, would be done. But the problem is this system is going to stall, and that area of rain is going to be like a fire hose over wherever it ends up, because it's going to be pretty consistent. And the idea is that it stalls over areas of eastern Indiana and western Ohio, and that would involve our flood watch counties, where several inches of rain could pile up the next couple days. The bigger picture, there's your tropical storm Arthur off the east coast. A little early for hurricane season, which officially starts June 1st. This has happened the last 6 6 years. And it's not abnormal to have a storm. This isn't really that impressive, 45-mile-per-hour winds, but it is bringing heavier rainfall to areas near Cape Hatteras. And look at the spaghetti plots. This system, models have no idea where it's going to go, but the general consensus is it goes away from land and will not impact anything other than the Outer Banks. But for us, we know it impacts us. National Design Hour by our forecast, you can see the slow movement to the rain. As we go through the afternoon, we'll see them bubble up throughout the afternoon, some heavier downpours. And there's that plume of moisture tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, working into our western tier of counties. We may be dry from Ashtabula down towards Canton. And on Tuesday, that low will sink south. That brings cooler air in here. In fact, highs on Tuesday may struggle to get out of the 60s with some showers around. And you can see as we go on into your Tuesday night, we're not dealing with a whole lot in terms of rainfall. There's another look at all the rain as this low pressure just wraps up across the Tennessee Valley over the next couple days. Overall, we are dealing with quite a bit of rain before it's all said and done, especially across our western counties where several inches could add up. All right, let's put it all together for you with the Universal Windows Direct 10-day forecast. We're down into the 60s Tuesday, Wednesday with that cooler air, but all things point towards upper 70s and 80s as we go into the weekend. A pretty nice recovery after that. All right, we'll be back with sports after the break.
This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Serra Auto Park in Akron.
Good evening to you here from the Camino Kitchen. It was another Pasta Sunday here, and it was a great day for sports fans. Why? Sports are starting to make their return. We know it's been a slow and careful process, but for obvious reasons, this is a great thing that sports are starting to make their return, and what we've seen around the globe are starting to happen here in the States. We saw it right here on NBC. Golf returning with Ricky Fowler, Dustin Johnson, and Rory McIlroy, a charity match at Seminole Golf Club down in Florida. The Skins game all going to COVID-19 relief efforts. There was social distancing, guys carrying their own clubs, no spectators, but great to have golf back. So when does the PGA return? That's going to be June 11th through the 14th at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas. But what can we expect? Testing, and more testing. The plan is to test players and caddies for COVID-19 before and during tournaments. Obviously, no fans will be allowed to attend those tournaments. So yesterday we had another UFC event. Today we had golf. Today we also had NASCAR making its return for the first time since March 8th. You see there, though, they had masks going. Ryan Newman, fellow drivers wearing the masks, and there was a wreck early on, but taking the checkered flag, it was Kevin Harvick, his 50th career win. So again, it's been a slow process, Lena, but we are starting to see sports make a comeback here in the United States.
Yeah, glad to see the real deal. I mean, it was almost like a glorified video game when they were doing their virtual thing.
Yeah, and I was having a hard time talking about the German soccer league with you. You know what I mean?
You're right, exactly. Thanks so much, Nick. We'll be right back. Well, we want to thank you for spending time with us tonight. 3 News Go starts at 4:30 a.m. and we always keep you up to date on our app and at WKYC.com. And my constant companion here in my home studio, Baby Yoda. He says, stay strong, stay well. Good night.